Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick with me? Famous scenes with drama queens and heroes acting out there on a silver screen. Come grab a seat, the popcorn is on me.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
Hello and welcome back to the only show that you're watching at this very moment. Meet me at the movies, unless you have multiple screens and you're watching other shows. But this one you should have the volume up on because that's what really matters about this show. Noel T. Manning II here with Darryl Mansel, backed by popular demand. The non-viewer mail was astounding, Darryl. I mean, they were saying, when is this guy coming back? And I said, I promise he'll be back after the Oscars. So the award season is finally over, Darryl. Glad you could be back with us. Good to see you always, buddy.
Thanks for having me. I'm sure that non-viewer mail was probably more like threats. Don't let this guy back on the show again, please. We can't have. But I'm glad to be back. Glad to talk some Oscars with you and get your thoughts on how things went.
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to do that. And just the preview of the show, we initially said, hey, we need to talk about the adapted screenplays because the last time we had you on, it was the nominees for original. And we said, we got to come back on for adapted. And actually glad that we're able to do this after the fact so we can reflect a little bit on the Oscars itself and maybe some of your thoughts. What are some of the standouts for you? Things maybe you were happy about, things that surprised you, anything you want to share particularly about reflecting on this year's Oscars?
Yeah, I thought the ceremony overall was a good ceremony. I think they found a good host going forward with Conan O'Brien. I think he understands the right balance of levity and poking fun and carrying a good ceremony all the way to the end. I didn't have a whole lot of surprises. Things kind of fell the way I thought they would. I think my number one surprise overall would be Amy Madigan winning for supporting actress for Weapons. I thought it was a really great performance. It's just we have a history with the Oscars not really giving horror their due time to shine in their share. So I had immediately discounted her on nominations. Like, well, Weapons, horror, Amy Madigan has no shot whatsoever. But pleasantly surprised that she got that. Keep going. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the same way here. I was really happy that was the first award that we saw. And I said, wow, okay, this is kind of exciting to see this. She has definitely earned it. She's earned her keep throughout the years, and it was nice to see that win for sure.
Agreed. I've known her back in the Field of Dreams days, and it's good to just see her finally come up and get her recognition. I think 40 years is more than enough to put in some work. The only other thing that kind of took me by surprise, well, not too much of a surprise, but slightly disappointing, was the international feature film. Sentimental Value, I think, was kind of the runaway all award season. It was the talk of the town, that or Secret Agent. I would have rather seen Sirat or Secret Agent win, but a lot of people love Sentimental Value. It didn't quite connect for me, so great for them.
Yeah, for me, it was wonderful to see the love spread out a bit. I would have loved to have seen a little more love to Sinners because that was the favorite for me from last April when I watched it. I just said, man, this movie has got to be remembered during the Oscars, and I'm glad it was. But I would have loved to have seen it gain a few more wins. But that one, Frankenstein, of course, happy to see that. And then One Battle After Another took most of the awards. But it was interesting to see a lot of first time winners this go round, which was pretty interesting and wonderful to see as well. And when you look back over award season, I think the one that's been the most interesting to watch was the best lead actor, because the love for that was being spread all over the place, as well as best supporting. So those were two that I thought were really interesting, seeing what was going to happen with the Oscars. And I was very glad that Michael B. Jordan got that. Thomas and I, as we watched, when his name was called, we literally cheered, and there was just this joyous moment because I was just so happy to see him earn that award, and also Ryan Coogler earning the writing award as well. So excited for that for sure.
Yeah, agreed. I'm glad Sinners got what it did. I was really hoping that Coogler might get that director Oscar. I was hoping they would kind of split for one battle, and Sinners, one might get best director, one might get best picture. PTA took both. Congratulations to him. Was really hoping that Coogler might get that award, but happy that he got some recognition. Happy that his cinematographer got her recognition as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, a lot of first this year for sure. And now we're starting it all over again. We're on our way to award season next year. So we'll see what maybe comes out next month that might surprise us, and we'll still be in the conversation, a year from now. Anything else you want to share about the Oscars before we dive into some of our thoughts on adapted screenplays?
I think that's it to me. Just congratulations to all the winners. A lot of people call the Oscars a pretentious show, but I love when art is put on display. I love when peers are recognizing each other for the good work that they put in. So, a lot of people can say what they want about the ceremony and the backslapping and all that. I think it's beautiful, and I have a fun time every single time I watch it.
Yeah, I do too. And you're always waiting for that one speech that you're going to be remembering and thinking about years down the road. And there's definitely, I think, moments in every single Oscar ceremony that we will say, "Oh, I was there for that. I was there for that."
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we are talking now adapted screenplays. We're going to talk about the nominees. Of course, we'll talk about the winner as well. And for those out there that are taking notes with their crayon and cardboard, adapted screenplays are different than the original for the screen. So these things can come from novels, from short stories, from comic books, from reimaginings. They can come all over the place. And Darryl Mansel is back with us to break down the nominees and the winner for this year's Oscars. One battle after another. Hamnet, Train Dreams, Begonia, and Frankenstein were the nominees this year. And actually, before we dive into that, I've got just a couple more questions for you relating to adaptive screenplays. Do you think it's more difficult for a director to adapt the screenplay or to take something that's original for the screen?
I would say the adaptation has to be the more difficult of the two, because you're already working off of someone else's vision. If it's popular enough to come across their desk for adaptation, that means it has an audience somewhere out there already. So you have that tricky battle of trying to stay true to that audience, as well as injecting any of your own thoughts or ideas into to make it kind of your own product as well. It's got to be adapted by far. Original, it's like, this is my idea and I'm running with it. You have to pay respects, and that can be a fine line to try to walk. And fandom, as crazy as it is now, is a lot of overexcited fans and toxic fandoms out there. And if you don't do what they consider a good enough job, then it can spiral out of control real quick.
I've always thought, as just a viewer, but a viewer and a film critic, if I haven't read the original source material, I'm many times much more happy with what comes across, because I don't have anything in my mind that I'm comparing it to. And you talked about the fandom, and I tell you, most of the material we see now is adapted from something. So there's already someone that's got an idea in their mind, if they're familiar with that source material, of what they should be seeing on screen. But for you, as a critic, and also as a writer, what do you think makes the adaptation work on screen for you?
I think a lot of it comes down actually to the direction. more than it does the actual adaptation. I think if you can at least capture the spirit, the tone of what the original text is in the script, you're good there. And then the direction is what really takes it home. Case in point for me to dive right in is Begonia. Haven't read the original, or I'm sorry, I haven't seen the original film, the Korean film, but I read the Begonia script. I love the movie, but the script does nothing for me. Just reading through, and I was just like, okay, yeah, that happened, and then that happened, and that. But when Yorgos comes in there and puts his stamp on it, and you get Emma Stone coming in there, and Clemens and all that, that's what makes the movie spectacular. The script itself, fairly unremarkable for me.
Interesting, but yet it still found a way to get the Oscar nomination. So that's one of those that you say it's the director, it's the casting, but also there was something uniquely different about the way this film looked too. So the visual style, the visual fingerprints on this film were pretty amazing.
Agreed. Yorgos isn't my favorite director. He can be hit and miss. For me, it's love his movies or severely dislike them, and there seems to be little in between for me. But this one hit very, very big for me. It ended up in my top 10 for the year. But yeah, going back and reading that script, it confused me as to how this got a nomination.
Wow. So when you looked at your top 10, how was it that this film that had a subpar script found a way to make it into your top 10?
It goes back to performances and the casting. I think Emma Stone might be one of our next, if not already, generational actors. Hopefully she has a very long and successful career. Clemens has proved himself. And with what Yorgos was able to get out of some of your more traditional non-actors was also incredibly well done. I think it all lies in the artistry of the filmmaking itself rather than the text that they adapted from.
Thomas and I said the same thing about Emma Stone, is that's just amazing what she can bring to the screen. And when I look at her and I look at just how prolific she is, not just in creating work, but creating quality work that she finds a way to elevate. And it reminds me of what, Daniel Day-Lewis, had done. Anytime that, you would see Daniel Day-Lewis on film, or even Tom Hanks during a certain time period of his life, that you knew it was going to be something that you were not only going to watch, but you were going to be talking about for months, and maybe years down the road.
Yeah, agreed. I saw her in a TV show in 2007 that was canceled after a few episodes, but in those episodes, I was like, who is that? She's going to be someone. And I'm happy 20 years later that to be proven right. She's got the chops for comedy, the chops for drama. And I think she is the heart of that movie. It's a strong collaboration that her and Yorgos has. And I think it's due to that strong collaboration that it got to my top 10. But again, that script is, I don't know.
Well, you are watching Meet Me at the Movies. Noel T. Manning II with Darryl Mansel. We're talking about Best Adapted Screenplay nominees and winner for this year's Oscars, the 98th Annual Academy Awards. And we're going to take a quick intermission. We're going to come back, and we come back on the other side of the break. One battle after another. Paul Thomas Anderson will be on our radar, so stick around.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
We always have had a certain courtesy to other people upon their retirement or somebody's passing.
I got something nice to say about our retirement.
Well, we're not.
Good riddance.
Oh, was it you?
First, he put giant flagpoles on the White House lawn like it was a Buc-ee's, and then he cemented over the Rose Garden. Then he turned the Oval Office into a place that looks like a New Orleans cat house.
Well, I'm sure President Obama evaluated both candidates and went with the best one, better one.
Yeah, one of them had a D by her name.
one cannot help but wonder why. Betsy, one possibility would be that the hurricanes are now afraid to enter the newly named Gulf of America while Trump's in the White House.
Hi, I'm Tim Foster, your host for Blue and Bold Monthly right here on C19 TV. Get to know the coaches and student athletes of Cleveland Community College Athletics on Blue and Bold. We go in depth as we discuss cross country, track and field, volleyball, baseball, men and women's basketball, and softball. Catch Blue and Bold airing on C19 TV and online at C19.TV.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
And we are back on C19 TV. Noel T. Manning II here with Darryl Mansel on Meet Me at the Movies, and we are talking about a Best Adapted Screenplay nominees and winner. I was going to say, you can say winners in some categories because there was a tie this year, which is unusual, but not in this category. One battle after another. Paul Thomas Anderson was the winner this year in that category. And let's get some of your thoughts on this, on the film and the script.
Oh, I went into this movie with a lot of trepidation. PTA for me is a whole lot of misses and very few hits. I love Boogie Nights, and what else I've seen of him outside of that, I haven't really enjoyed, honestly. So I went into this a little bit cautious, but I really loved the trailer, so I really wanted to give it a shot, and I was blown away. It was my number one for the year. I thoroughly enjoy every single aspect of this movie and everything that's going on with it. It's just enjoyable from beginning to end. It deftly balances incredible tension with wild moments of comedy, and it's never tonally jarring or shifting or out of place. He proves that he is a master of his craft. It might not be for me, but it is undeniable to say that, Paul Thomas Anderson knows what he's doing when he's making movies.
Well, and he also knows how to bring an incredible ensemble cast together. I mean, you just look at this film and you look at the nominees that came out of this. You had, two that were vying for Best Supporting Actor, and one of them ended up winning, Sean Penn, who wasn't at the ceremony. I think the only one who wasn't at the ceremony to have won. He was in Ukraine, spending time with the president there in Ukraine. So I guess if you're going to have a reason for not to be at the Oscars, that's not a bad reason.
That's a pretty valid reason to not be at the Oscars, I think.
Absolutely. But yeah, the casting of this, the look of this, the pacing of this, editing, I mean, it is a film that really did find a way to hit on all cylinders. And that is something that, as a filmmaker, you're hoping for. You're hoping for that, for all the puzzle pieces to fit. And when it does, it's a magical thing because that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen. I looked at the runtime going into this movie, and I was like, oh, this movie is a little bit lengthy, and runtimes don't scare me off, but it makes me wonder what in this movie is going to justify this runtime, and every bit of it is justified all throughout, especially down to that last 15-20 minutes, which is just it's every piece firing on all cylinders. I've gone back and rewatched just that sequence multiple times.
So why do you think this film has found a way to connect with audiences? It's a different kind of film. And actually, all the films that we're talking about are different in their own way, which I think is interesting when we're looking at the adapted screenplays. But this one's it is a period piece. It's a different period. There's political aspects of it. There's emotional aspects of it. There's cultural aspects of it. It hits a lot of different buttons.
Yeah, and I think it's exactly as what you just said. It tackles a number of different things and does them all at a very high rate. If you're looking for something with a little bit of a thinly veiled political message, this is here for you, or kind of pulling the curtain behind back from a certain subset of people. This is a movie for you. If you're looking for something of a cultural revolution type deal, you get a little bit of that in this as well. If you're looking for a guy who just wants to go on this journey to get his daughter back in a straight drama fashion, that also works as well.
Did you read the original source material?
I haven't. I've never read any Pynchon before.
Okay.
This movie is what got me interested in seeing, because now I want to see what the differences are. Something you said earlier in the episode is watching it before reading. And I think that is the best way to go, is see we're untainted when you're watching the movie. So now I'm interested in reading.
Well, let's talk about Hamnet. Talk about based on a source material that goes way back. At least if you're talking about about Shakespeare. I mean, Shakespeare goes way, way, way back. So this is something that has a connection to that for sure. Chloe Zhao, talk about someone who is proving herself to be an amazing talent and just sprung onto the scene not too many years ago in the national conscious. So let's get your thoughts on Hamnet.
I enjoyed Hamnet. This one for me was unfortunately ruined by expectations. For some reason, I couldn't get to it the first couple of weeks. I just had too much stuff going on. But everyone's like, "Oh, it's going to destroy you. It's just the most emotional, ringing movie," and it is definitely emotional, but there was a lot of hyperbole being put out there for that. I went in expecting something and got something else. That's on me as far as expectations, but on its own, as its own product, I think Hamnet is incredibly well performed. Paul Mescal has obviously come up. Jessie Buckley finally gets her due recognition as one of the best current working actors that we have out there. Of what I've seen in the Chloe Zhao movies, this is easily number one at the top of the list.
Yeah, and Buckley's performance is probably the best singular performance of the year across everything that I saw this year. I was really, really, really impressed with her for sure.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't dispute any of that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, let's dive into Train Dreams. Clint Bentley and Greg Quadar. This was a film that, to me, and I did read the short novelization of it after I watched the movie, a really short read. But for something that's so literary like that, I couldn't have imagined reading it and then seeing what I saw. And talk about just a film that was just beautiful, immersive to watch, just from the atmospheric nature standpoint. It was incredible.
I think Train Dreams ended up being number 2 or 3 for me for the year. It is a wonderful, wonderful movie. This is one of the scripts that I really dove into just to try to figure out why I enjoyed the movie so much. And it's the first time I've read a script and then thought, well, now I need to read the source material. Whereas one battle, I saw the movie and I want to read, the book. I need to see what that novella has, that translated the script, that translated the screen. I love the script. I love the movie, the performances. Joel Edgerton, I think, is one of the best at really interior performances. He's rarely loud or boisterous. Just a man kind of watching life pass him by. Between that, the visuals, and that Will Patton narration, I was such a sucker for that movie, man. It was the 2025 dad movie for me.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned the narration, because that is something that just really got to me, is just how beautiful that narration was. And it felt so authentic to the story itself. And it just lent itself to something that just felt like it was supposed to be there. And a matter of fact, that's one of the reasons that the North Carolina Film Critics has now changed one of the categories. Is we had a kind of a best voiceover talent for the North Carolina Film Critics, but it's typically been looked at from a standpoint of animation or even films that use a lot of motion capture. But there were a couple films this year that utilized narration. Life of Chuck is another one that utilized it in such a way that it felt like it was truly another character. And so we've actually added live narration to that particular category. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Excellent. Yeah, I love Train Dreams so much. Just an easy to read script. It's a lot of white space. Your eyes just race across the page. And I reread it this weekend in preparation for this, and I'm already ready to watch the movie again. I had such a good time with it.
Yeah, it's a film that I've watched 3 times, and it's just beautiful. It's just absolutely beautiful. Well, to wrap our list up, let's talk about a story that's been around again for a long, long time. Frankenstein. Guillermo del Toro knew this was something he wanted to do sometime in his life, and man, he put together an artistic masterpiece from my standpoint.
Yeah, I'm going to contradict myself here a bit. I just said I think it's always good to watch the movie before you read the source material, so you have an untainted opinion. I've read Frankenstein, but it's been coming up on 30 years probably. But watching the movie, I had a thought of, man, I wish I would have reread the story before I watched this movie, because I'm dealing in a world of hazy memories. Like I think that's in the book. I can't quite remember. It didn't land for me as hard as it landed for other people. I enjoyed it. I didn't quite love it. I really did like Jacob Elordi's performance as Frankenstein's monster, though.
For me, this film spoke on pretty much all cylinders. I thought the sound design was quite incredible. Of course, the visuals. When you've got Del Toro, that he's going to find a way to bring the visuals to life, not just in the effects work, but the production design, the costumes. This really did have so much. And for me, the thing that really spoke to me was seeing this from the perspective from the monster in a way that I don't remember seeing on screen before in all the other Frankenstein adaptations, at least not to this extent. So Frankenstein, glad to see that one get on the list as well. Any final thoughts on that?
Yeah, just speaking to your Frankenstein, I think that there is a public view of what Frankenstein the monster is that's been kind of warped through the decades of just with the bolts coming out of the neck. And it was good to get a thoughtful, touching in a creation that has its own feelings and its own thoughts and its own desires, to get back to the originality of what Shelley was going for. I thought, if anyone's going to do that, it's going to be Guillermo del Toro. Yeah. He loves his monsters.
All right, man, and we looking forward to having you back on the show again as we talk more about screenplays, and we haven't decided on what that next show is going to be, but we're definitely going to have you back because, again, that non-viewer mail is demanding it. It is demanding it. So, Darryl, as always, I appreciate you. It's always good to see you, and for our viewers out there, thank you for taking the time to spend with us as well. You can always email us info@C19.TV, and Tim Foster will make sure that gets into our hands. So those non-viewers out there, we're waiting for you. We're waiting for you. Till next time, for Meet Me at the Movies and the entire cast and crew, Noel T. Manning II for Darryl Mansel, and that is a wrap.
Many films to view.
Good show.
Until we meet again. Next time we see you, we'll gladly fill you in. We'll tell about the happy and the sad ones. We'll talk about the good ones and the bad ones. Many films to view till we meet again.